Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this Monday afternoon, we have Chris Dearborn, Managing Director, Nasdaq's Market Intelligence Desk, for an update on technical levels to watch in the Nasdaq 100. And Chris, quite the way to start the week. All three of the major averages trading down about 2%, a little bit over 2% at this point as we head into the close.
Absolutely a risk-off day. Friday was the first risk-off day. Today's a continuation, something we've been looking for. We talked about it in the past couple of weeks, and it's finally starting to come to fruition. Very exciting to see this. People don't like down days, but a pullback is extremely healthy, and that's what we're getting today.
All right, let's pull up your first chart here, get some fresh technical levels.
Yep, absolutely. So this is the first time the NDX has closed lower since mid-May on a week-over-week basis. And what you're looking at here is a couple of different items. We made the new all-time high last week, and we talked twice last week about this. I want to point the attention to the bottom of the chart with the relative strength index. And remember, we talked about the relative strength index, or RSI, being well above 70 for almost a week and a half. And we kept calling for a major pullback. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's finally starting to happen. The RSI has slipped to a 50 count right now, which means it's right in between a medium entry level between bought and sold. And what that means is it's measuring the number of trades that are taking place on the bid, or the number of trades taking place on the offer side, or at that midpoint in between the quote. A 50 is a good healthy pullback in this index. Support still sits around 14.3, and then below that at 1400, still well above the moving averages here. I'm looking for this index to stay lower for another day or two and then start to move higher again. Not a lot of macro catalysts away from the Delta variant, which everyone's talking about, but really just kind of a summer risk-off day on a Monday with a little bit lighter volumes.
And Chris, with that, let's take a look at your next chart here with the Nasdaq 100 constituents. And of course, many of those work from home stocks that we saw in 2020 are in the Nasdaq 100. So the Nasdaq 100 is relatively outperforming today. So there are a couple in the green.
There are, but what's interesting is there's only 15 at the moment companies in the green out of the Nasdaq 100. You know, and most of them are exactly what you said, the work from home companies. But Moderna is probably the best performer there. It's up over 10%. Recently making new all-time highs last week, adding about 12 points. To the downside, though, you know, when you're looking at a lot of those companies are only down 2, 3, 4 points, but 2 percentage points. But the big ones, as you would expect, like Apple, Microsoft. Apple down 2%, shaves off 40 points for the index. Microsoft down 1.6%, shaves off 25, and Amazon off 1%, shaves off 18. So that's the index makeup right there. The big boys are off about 1 to 2%, moving directly in line with the index on basically no specific news at the moment. And then that's just shaving the rest of the index. And if you look at it on the way the movers here, majority of the stocks within the index are plus or minus 0.5 or less percent, thus just indicating the pullback is healthy. Look for this to stop here and support. And I would expect the index, barring any type of black swan macro events, and then with the earnings coming up, any stock specific items, the tickets head back up in the next week or two.
All right, Chris, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.